Okay, I think I'm ready.
You got it, girl.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Today I am Stacy Cole, and you know what? Show me some grace today. I am filling in for Pastor Cornelius Hill on the Yolanda and Cornelius Show today, and I am so excited to be here with you. But show me a little bit of grace because this is the first time I've done this thing by myself. Today we are going to talk about business succession planning and what that is and how it can impact your business. If you don't know, I am Stacy Cole of Alchemy Business Consulting, where we help businesses to grow and scale their businesses through employee benefits, culture, leadership. But what I found within the last few weeks, I've been having some high level conversations with owner operators on succession planning. So the first thing that I want to do is say, what is succession planning? And how can that impact you, your business, your organization? And oftentimes when we think about a succession is, hey, something that comes after in success. Okay, but what we're talking about is a process that is aimed at identifying and developing future leaders within a business so that way it can continue long term success. So let's simplify this for a minute. So if you are a owner operator, let's say of a construction company, it's you, your husband, and your children, and you guys own the business. Well, what happens to the business if somebody passes away or if somebody has long-term care needs? Well, we don't want to lose the business. We want to continue that legacy within our business. And oftentimes we don't have the resources available because, hey, we are good at organizing our family as women. We are good at raising our children, and we have our business all in order. However, there's not a process in place so that we can successfully put our business in place so that way we can pass it on to the next generation. So as you are beginning to do your succession plan, and it's a continuity plan, it's one, identifying some key roles and positions, those critical roles within your organization that make it successful. Okay. So you could have a CEO, a CFO, a chief operating officer, and those are your three key employees. What are their responsibilities, and what roles do they play? So if you lose the CFO, what key role do they play within the organization? You can analyze their skills and experiences along with their competencies. And the benefit of that to you is you are putting a structure in place where if something happens where the person has to be out on long-term care, the business can continue on. And that's the scariest thing. So I'm going to give you a very interesting example. So maybe about 4 days ago, I had a business owner contact me, and they were putting systems in place for the long term. And the one of the owners, it's three partners, and the partner's wife doesn't like one of the business owners. And he says, well, what happens if you are no longer able to come into the business? Does that mean I have to work with your wife? The answer is yes. So how this succession plan could help them is that particular owner can leave an insurance policy or have a long-term care policy for that employee. So that way, if he passes away before retirement, before they sell, he can actually pass that business on. She can buy that person out without losing the business. Isn't that crazy? Um, putting and developing your internal talent. And what that looks and feels like is who could step into your position as a chief operating officer, chief executive officer, chief financial officer, if something were to happen to you and your business. These are financial milestones that you are looking at to identify what those resources are within your organization. We do that also within our families. We look at our daily budget, our monthly budget. How much do we have for gas? How much do we have for food? How much? So you're looking at the landscape of how your household runs. But today we're talking about our business, developing your key internal talent, training and mentoring your current employees, and really preparing them for leadership roles. And this may involve professional development programs, some cross training, and developmental initiatives. Documentation is also key. And I think I'm moving a little fast. You think I'm moving a little fast? I could probably slow down just a little bit. But documenting your day-to-day processes and making sure that if you're even when you're on vacation, somebody can step into your role and feel comfortable in stepping into your role and filling in the gap for you. I do have a few questions for you to be thinking about as you are a business owner or a woman business owner. I would say you can ensure that you are protecting your business and your business and your family simultaneously by getting with a financial professional, your accountant, somebody that you can trust, so that way you can establish some future planning for your business. And succession plans should be evaluated every year. Now, if you're in transition and you're scaling really fast, I've had a lot of business owners that have grown from 6 employees to 40 employees in a matter of 4 or 5 years. That succession plan should be evaluated probably every 6 months, because you are scaling so quickly. You want to be able to assess that you have the right tools and the resources in place so that as you continuously grow, you have the ability to be able to protect not only your business, but you're protecting your family as well. I sometimes get questions from nonprofits, not-for-profits, and say, hey, can we do this for our business? Churches, not-for-profit organizations, absolutely. Because what if you're not there anymore? That's the question. What if you have a cancer occurrence or a stroke occurrence to where you can't come back into the workplace and your business can't continue on? It can't continue on without you. And a lot of times in our communities, we don't have those things in place. So when we're trying to build legacy, we're talking about it and we got the concept of what the legacy looks like, but we don't have the system in place, the tools in place to continue on if we're no longer there and available to to our business. And this requires you to create a plan for unexpected events. Unexpected events can happen. A couple of days ago, I was on TikTok and I saw something about one of the chefs that's on TV. He had a biking accident, and he loves to bike, and a car hit him apparently, and he came online and he said he was shook up. You can see that he was shook up from getting hit by this bike. He had this massive bruise. That was unexpected incident that could have injured him, halted his career. We're talking about putting plans in place and establishing protocols for handling unexpected departures due to illness, death, or unforeseen circumstances. This includes setting up a buy-sell agreement, insurance policies, and contingency plans. We saw this actually happen during COVID. A lot of businesses did not have systems in place. And they were using credit cards. They were terminating some wrong employees, maybe right employees seemed at the time, but in retrospect, hey, perhaps we probably should have kept those employees on, some of those good employees on. So now we're looking for ways to get those great employees back, and a lot of businesses closed. What we also saw was husbands and wives that were in business together found out that they didn't like one another. They didn't like working with one another. They didn't like living with one another. So what happened to that business? So there needed to be a contingency plan to say, if we are no longer a couple, what happens to our organization? What happens to our dental practice? What happens to our community center? What happens to our business if I don't like looking at your face anymore? So we're talking about a contingency plan. So that way, if that person is no longer there, you have the ability to be able to buy that person out. Now, implementing the plan is important, because what is the point of having all of these documents and systems in place if, in fact, you can't execute them and nobody knows about them? It's almost like when we have our life insurance policies, your beneficiary doesn't know that they're the beneficiary. So I have seen where parents have made their children beneficiaries on their policies, and somebody has passed away, and the child goes to look for the policy and they can't find it. Not only could they not find it, they didn't even know that they were the beneficiary. So now you are running around looking for these things that you don't even know. But if there was a family discussion as well as a business discussion amongst partners saying that, hey, if something were to happen to me during this time frame, and we don't want things to happen, our goal is to live as long as God keeps us on this earth. And since my grandmother lived to 90, if I can live to 105, I'm gonna live I'm gonna live as long as he says that I can be here on this space. I'm going to be here. So we don't expect those, but he also didn't say be a fool either. So you have to put systems in place, put things in place to continue, for things to continue on, not only in your family, but also within your business as well. So once you have got the plan, you've communicated the plan, all parties are involved, all business partners are involved, all family members are involved. Now what we're going to do, we're going to find us a good attorney and communicate those wishes to the attorney, so that way there's not a fight. Because business owners fight as well. So just like that example I just talked about just a few minutes ago, we had the 3 business partners. One business partner passed away. His wife took on the other portion, his portion of the business, that third of the business. The other partners don't like the wife, and now they have to deal with her. Well, if that policy was in place or that succession plan was actually in place, they could buy her out $2-3 million and send her packing on her way, and vice versa, because we might want to send the men away too as well. So that was just an example. So we got the succession plan in place. So we've talked about it, we've reviewed it, we've dotted our I's, crossed our T's, and now we're ensuring the stakeholder communication. And that's really keeping employees and family members and other stakeholders informed about the succession plan, and that's to ensure transparency. What I've learned just working with business, and just a little background, I've been working in corporate America for almost 30 years and running my own business since 2018. And I've seen a lot of ups and downs and communication and challenges, and some things could be prevented just due to transparency. And so why transparency is important? It's important because that allows all parties involved to know what the plan is. And then that way they can execute the plan without hesitation. If a plan is in place, it actually removes a lot of the emotion from it, right? It removes emotion from the process of if somebody has long-term care needs and they can't make any decisions for the business. We don't want the business XYZ company to end. We don't want the business to close. We don't want the legacy to end. So we are looking at putting things in place, as plan in place, so that way we can know that the business can continue. I'm going to give you another example that should be a part of your succession plan. I was talking to an attorney yesterday, and we were talking about general liability. And general liability is something that a company has to protect if somebody does a slip and fall, if somebody is hurt. And this company, one particular company, only had $300,000. Now, at first glance, that could be a lot of money if you only got $50,000. Or heck, you might only have $25,000. Whatever the case may be, that could look like a lot of money. But the person's injuries were repeated, and they ended up having to file for bankruptcy to sell not only the property, but they had to dissolve the entire business in order to pay the lawsuit. Now, here's the thing. If they would have had built into the succession plan, let's evaluate if we have enough coverage if an incident happens within our organization to ensure we are properly protecting our company from anything that we might be at fault for. That's a part of the succession plan. Those are the conversations. These are the questions that you should be asking your business partner, whether it's your husband, whether it's your wife, whether it's 3 attorneys. If you have a business and you have a partner, it's important that you have this plan in place. Another thing is sometimes, sometimes fights happen within not only the family, but within the business. So can you imagine running a successful business, multi-million-dollar business, and somebody gets into an argument, but we can't resolve that argument because we don't have an attorney. We didn't have the discussions in the front or as we began to grow and scale. We didn't start having discussions. Well, what happens if we can't no longer be in business together? What if I want to buy you out? What does that buyout look like? What does the buyout look like if we grow from 5 million to 17 million? What does that look like? What does that look and feel like if we wanted to sell? If one partner wants to sell and another partner does not, how are you going to buy me out in order to keep the business going? Or maybe we decide to reevaluate this conversation, discussion periodically, so that way we are all on the same page. All we're talking about today, folks, is proper and effective communication. I'm talking at a high level today because typically I talk about the business operations, and I will always be operations. I love how businesses grow and flow, but there are strategies that we can put in place in order for us to be more prosperous and effective within growing not only our organizations, but putting together a legacy plan, and not just talking in theory. This is important because I hear a lot of people talk about, oh, we want to create a legacy. Well, what does legacy look like? I had a woman tell me yesterday, and this is not on business, but a personal. She said, I don't want a fish fry. I don't want people to have a fish fry for my funeral. And just even repeating it shakes my soul, because that's not what we want. We don't want to have a GoFundMe. And if we're talking about from a business perspective, this this is about protecting ourselves. This is about protecting our family. It's about protecting the things that we value the most. And we're not talking about being hungry for money. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about preparing for the possibilities. And I liken it to look like on a more, let's switch places a little bit. So when I was younger, my grandmother told me, if you can read, you can go anywhere. Okay. So I was the nerdy kid. I was surrounded by books. My mother was like, don't buy Stacey Dowles because give her books. If it wasn't Charlotte Webb or something that was off my mother's bookshelf. So that's what my granny told me. My dad told me read in between the lines because there's some gray area in there that you need to comprehend and understand. My mother said education can take you everywhere. So keep continuously educating yourself. So you're saying to yourself, well, Stacey, what does that have to do with what you were just talking about? Well, it has to do with it because they were preparing me out of love, out of their wisdom to get prepared for what I was going to face in the future. And that's the tie-in. When we're talking about planning for our business, planning for success, they were planning for my success. I'm the oldest, okay? Stacey, you are setting the example for all of your siblings. They are watching you, whatever you do. So they were preparing me for success, so that way those who followed behind me were ready to step into whatever their future and their destiny is. So that's what we're talking about. So when we're talking about your business, you're just preparing for it to have continued success, not just now, but also in the future. And that is important. So I'm so used to having somebody else to banter with here, but I'm just pouring out all my heart to you today. I wasn't quite sure what I was getting into, but hopefully you are receiving some of this and you can take 2 or 3 tips away from that. And if you are looking to create a succession plan and you want to put some needs in place, tomorrow is Juneteenth, a celebration, okay, of us. But for the rest of this month, I am giving complimentary, because you don't like free, complimentary financial needs analysis for anybody who contacts me and texts me at 615-809-1615. And we will take a look at what your economic value is, whether you are an individual or a business. I've bumped into a lot of young women recently that have been taking on the role and responsibility of adopted parent for their family members. That's a lot of responsibility. If, hey, Auntie Joan, can you take my baby because I can no longer take care of that child? Now, Auntie Joan has her own 3 kids. Now she's taking care of another child. So this complimentary consultation is for parents as well. It's for churches. It is for individuals, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs that are interested in finding out what their financial economic value is. My name is Stacey Cole, and I can be reached at 615-809-1615. Mothers, do not discredit yourself because you want to know what your economic value is. I don't care if you are a housewife. Your economic value to your family is important because you are making pancakes, you are making breakfasts, you are making lunches, you are doing all the things to make the household run. You washing clothes, folding clothes, and trying to keep your mental and physical health together as well. So you want to also do that plan not only for yourself, but for your family and your husband as well. And hey, single mamas, I was a single mama. You got to put your plans together as well because we can no longer look and say, hey, I prefer that Starbucks or my Dunia Burke because I like those things and my nice shoes and not put our plans in place. So hopefully I gave you guys enough to chew on, or if it was not too much. I'm big on education. But again, you can reach me at 615-809-1615. And those complimentary sessions will be going through the end of June. And I want you to have a fantastic and marvelous day. That's okay.